Welcome to the Bold Analysis. I am producing this video in County 001. This is the county of Mombasa. And this is Mama Ngina waterfront. Quite an amazing place. And let me tell you, for the last 3 days, I have spent time in the coast. In this podcast, I wanted to talk about the planned Rigathi Gashagua trip from JKIA on Thursday when he lands in the country. But before I actually look at that, I would want to point out what I have seen in the coast and quite some 2 or 3 pointers I would want to point out. Number one, I visited Fort Jesus, and of course the payment is through eCitizen. I don't understand why county government of Mombasa cannot be the principal beneficiary of that historical site. Really, if Raila is talking about devolution, then even that historical site should actually boost the county government of Mombasa to boost its own source revenue. I think that is something not too much to ask for. The second observation I've made is about road network. For example, I was making my way to Kwale, to Diani, or to Kwale. So for people who know this place, the Dongo Kundu bypass is a big thing, was actually a big thing. And if you ask me, I can say that in terms of the road construction, the road network, the Dongo Kundu, it was a big game changer actually in Mombasa here. So nowadays you can make your way to Kwale through Dongo Kundu if you cannot use the ferry. I also experienced the ferry. And the ferry also made an observation that during Uhuru Kenyatta time, kuna ferry mbili kubwa zililetwa. So the guy who was, of course, helping us cross, our driver was helping us cross, alikuwa anatuambia that previously there were accidents. But those accidents went down. Of course, there were those incidences went down because of the new ferry, the 2 new ferries that were brought during Uhuru era. I think I can say that while we can do politics, but cost really benefited during Uhuru Kenyatta era. If you've come to this place for the 4 days that I've spent in this coastal region, I can say, I can attest to this, that this place, actually Uhuru Kenyatta did something. Now, let's get to the gist of this analysis, but kindly subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell and like our videos. And thank you very much for supporting this podcast. Oh, before I say, in Diani, there is a place, there is the way it stretches. Na kuna barabara ukielekea kutoka Gini ukielekea barabara kuelekea Lunga Lunga. It's in very poor state. And it has a potential of expanding and helping Kwale. Someone should also tell me why Kwale County has Diani, such a big, such a big tourist attraction site. For the 4 days that were there, I saw so many tourists around the beach. And Diani and Kwale County still remains amongst the poorest. By the way, someone can help me that. Now, enough with the issues of the coast. Let's talk about the Thursday trip Rigathi Gashagua is making from JKIA to Nairobi. And this is the statement that has been released by his allies in Nairobi, and that is Malala and the team. Now, according to the plan, Rigathi Gashagua will leave JKIA, drive through, of course, get a reception, get to CBD, and then make his way out to the place of Kamkunji grounds. That is where also Raila makes these rallies. That would be his first political rally since impeachment in Nairobi. And even Raila Odinga and William Ruto, who actually brags as the jogos of the city, have been evading Nairobi CBD for rallies. This rally is going to be done, and I think he is going to put a statement. So I've seen a statement from Rigathi's handler saying that the state was putting up efforts to scuttle that, which is going to be a mistake. So I'm going to look at the objective of that Kamkunji rally.
We shall have a mother peaceful will begin from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the Centre District to provide security, and they should not dare to demonstrate against the people of Kenya. We have done a letter to the Inspector General notifying him of the said activity. We confirm that indeed we will, and as a party and as the people of Kenya, we shall gather at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport starting from 8 a.m. This is to ensure that we plan ourselves adequately. We have people traveling from across the country, all the way from Tesoland, from Luoland, and therefore we want to have good organization and traveling from across the country to be at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport as from 8 a.m. We are also informed William Ruto is planning to divert his plane to either Kisikila and Candid on this matter. Take notice that any attempt, we have asked our supporters to be on standby. We remember when His Excellency Rigathi Gashagua was impeached, he implored upon his supporters to remain calm and resort to singing. Will be of a different rhythm. Secondly, William Ruto and his choir dream that he has been invited by Mr. Ruto, on your address to the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, under the theme, Better Together, 80 years and more for peace, development, and human rights. President Ruto, what are you going to address the UNGA looking at this year's theme and the UN principles? Is it about extrajudicial killings, rapid support our forces of Sudan, corruption, illegal gutter, with the Democratic Party, Citizens Party of Kenya, journalists, whistleblowers, and activists continue to be harassed and silenced. Human life. Innocent citizens have died at the hands of security forces with no accountability from the Kenyan government. The UN Declaration of Human Rights and the multiple treaties Kenya is a signatory to, all this as a statesman before the international community, while his regime joined the young people in petitioning the United Nations not to grant Mr. William Ruto the UN General Assembly to review human rights. We strongly call on the United States declaring him persona non grata in line with international practices on leaders who trample human rights.
When Rigathi Gashagua arrives, and why Kenya Kwanza is feeling a little bit uncomfortable by Rigathi Gashagua actually as he gets back. So much are at stake at the moment. We have by-election, almost 22 by-elections in the country. Of course, the political parties are going to jostle for what they can scoop during those by-elections. And the DCP party, which is a new kid on the block, is at least trying to harvest one or two from the by-elections, because that will be the launch pad for the 2027 general elections. I saw yesterday that comeback of Rigathi Gashagua is going to rejuvenate the opposition. And as Rigathi comes back, there's some things that must be put into order. So much is at stake at the moment. Number one, that political rally is going to test, or actually is going to send a political message to the opposition core principles. And one factor that you can credit on Rigathi Gashagua is organizing, is bringing together the opposition fold. I actually saw Matiang'i in Meru. The Meru trip, the reception in Meru was quite big and overwhelming. The Meru trip is a trip that was supposed to happen in June. I remember when we were, not in June, I think early July, when we were building a house for faith in Mbere. That was the time Matiang'i was supposed to go to Meru. But
haya na wananchi, wakati umefika sasa, nchi hii yetu ya Kenya, wakati umefika wa kusema la, hapana, hatuwezi kukubali, tukatae. Na vile kiongozi mwingine amesema hapa, enough is yeah. Hatuwezi kuendelea namna hii, kwa sababu in fact some countries can survive corruption and institutions can survive corruption, but I don't know of a country that can survive looting. Because what is happening here is looting. It's not even corruption. Massive looting of the country. Tukiangalia namna hii, tusikubali maneno kama haya. Na watu wakizungumza ni fitisho sasa. Tutamkamata Rigathi. Tutamkamata huyu Rigathi Gashagua akikuja kwa airport, twende tumkamate. Na mambo Rigathi anasema, mimi nimesema Rigathi, hayo maneno Rigathi anasema kila mtu ameyaona. Mimi nimeyasoma two international papers. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, The Economist, ambayo mnajua is one of the strongest voices in the UK, has published an editorial piece with a scathing story on this administration and its leaders, using a language that is even stronger than I've heard Gashagua use, or even any one of us in the opposition use, describing our leaders in a very, very strong language and the things they are doing in our country. Juzi nyinyi mko hapa, mliona gazeti moja hapa ya Kenya imechapisha story kuhusu silaha na vile silaha imeuzwa na vile tumetumika hapa kupeleka silaha kwa nchi jirani. Hakuna mkubwa wa serikali alizungumzia hiyo maneno, mlisikia nyinyi? Hakuna mtu, kwa sababu maneno ikizungumzwa na mnyamaze inamaanisha kuna nini? Kuna ukweli. Wakuzungumza sasa ni kutisha, kamata Rigathi, kamata huu. Yani things become criminal when they come out of Rigathi's mouth. Hii maneno ya kufanya watu kana kamba ni wajinga, wao wenyewe ndio walituambia wakati walikuwa na campaign 2022 eti wajinga waliisha Kenya. Kwa hivyo wajinga walirudi wakati waliingia serikali. Ama namna gani? Si walituambia eti wajinga wameisha Kenya. Sasa wajinga walirudi wakati waliingia serikali. Na kama wajinga walirudi wakati waliingia serikali, mbona walikubalia wajinga wakarudi? Kwa sababu walituambia wakati wa uchaguzi, walikuwa wanatuambia kila siku hiyo story yao kipindi kila siku, wajinga wameisha Kenya, you know the deep state nini. Sasa yote ni uongo tu, yani ukora. Sasa wajinga walirudi namna gani kuja kuambiwa hayo maneno atuambia? Sasa ni vitisho.
That trip was cancelled last minute after they got some intelligence that there will be some sort of interference. So that is why the Meru rally did happen. So Matiang'i was in Meru. He actually received a very good reception on that end. But then arrival of Rigathi at this point is we are going to bring them together and at least give them visibility. I've been saying since the former deputy president left the country, neither Matiang'i, neither Kalonzo Musyoka, nor any other candidate was able to bag even a mainstream 2 minutes mainstream coverage. So that, of course, was a concern as to how it was going to work, and it became a big issue actually for them. It was a big concern on their visibility. So the first thing here is going to counter. Let me tell you at the moment, I think the Kenya Kwanza team have monopoly of narrative and monopoly of messaging as to all they are telling the country, because there is no counter message from the opposition side. So I think Rigathi Gashagua brings in the visibility that is needed at this point, because You know, we are at a state where if you leave one side to run with a narrative, then you will actually play catch-22 politics. And with that, you cannot be able to achieve what you actually want to do. Now, the second other aspect that I've actually also realized in the context of the presence of Rigathi Gashagua is the fact that the by-elections are going to make, I do really know that as parties are putting things together for what they want to achieve, they are looking into what they can gather at this moment. And the presence of Rigathi Gachagua, for example, in Kariobangi, north of that area, there is a by-election in Kariobangi South, the MCA, they lost the MCA. So, and that's why he has actually chosen that area. That is the first place is going to be, is because he wants to get more into that. The second objective, or the other third objective of the rally is to test the population, the opposition popularity in CBD. Remember, there have been a lot of things happening. Camps are emerging. Edwin Sifuna and the team are doing other things separate with what the United Opposition team are doing. And probably that has created a bit of some breakup together. So the presence of Rigathi at this moment, and that is why I agree with what Sudi was saying, that, you know, Rigathi is coming back here, and it's not going to be a very easy thing now. That is why even the president and the team they're looking a bit uncomfortable by the presence of Rigathi Gachagua back in the country. I want to say this. Governments over time have always taken a very bad playbook. I remember the last time when Raila Odinga was leaving US, coming to the country, he did the same. There is always the politics of grand return. Rigathi is trying his muscles. That is what politics is. And of course, there is nothing wrong with doing that. And no one should take an offense. No one should actually feel uncomfortable that he's doing that, because that is what, ordinarily, that is what the Kenyan politics is meant to be. But the president feels uncomfortable really with that. And it will be a blunder if someone wakes up to try, number one, to block the venue, number two, dispatch the police, and to create dramatic scenes around it. That would have been a very interesting bit. Even one thing I know, and why that also has to be planned, is number one, if the state have intel, if you listen to the Malala and the team, they have been talking, they have been daring President Ruto that arrest Rigathi Gachagua at your own risk. And I think that is also been organized, because if they have the numbers, if Rigathi Gachagua is going to be arrested, where? Are you going to arrest him at the airport? Probably. Are you going to arrest him at the rally? Are you going to arrest him by the road? Or is it going to trigger some sort of protest? You know? And it depends. It all depends on how they handle it. It is, of course, the law, it is the spirit of the law and the letter of the law, that if you feel he's wrong, you cannot stop him from holding the rally. You must you must allow him to enjoy his rights. What you can only do is, you know, you can summon him. He will appear, probably send his lawyers and give any information, any credible information that is supposed to be given at this point. So it will be interesting to look at how all that plays. But then I think it is in the interest of the state to allow political democracy to thrive. I've been saying this, if the country will allow, of course, Ruto and Raila are together, that is not secret. And Rigathi Gachagua is the other side of the opposition. And at the moment, not really, I don't know whether popular or famous, but is the most popular at the moment in the opposition side. If the country allow Rigathi to be suppressed, then it will not be a Rigathi affair. It will actually be depressing the democratic space, shrinking the democratic space of the country. I've been saying, and I repeat here, of course, we must not elect Rigathi. And people have said we cannot replace Ruto with Rigathi, but you cannot chase Ruto probably without Rigathi Gachagua. So it will be interesting to see how all this plays out at the moment when he comes back. And I think the president is keen to look at this. If he comes in the country, probably the US want to gauge his popularity. He was in the US, he might have met some suitors there who are willing to put something in a campaign kitty probably around him and coalesce around him and make a candidate around him. And that them coming over from this point, of course, will be an opportunity to test as to whether the candidate they will want to support at this point is popular and can be able to bring the vote. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my sneak peek about the Thursday trip from JKIA. I think if police tries to block that, it will be too bad. It will be a wrong move. And they have notified the police, and I saw another report here that, they're saying it cannot happen, it should not happen. That will be an interesting bit. And in this country, for democracy to thrive, even if you don't agree with Rigathi, even if you don't agree with the opposition, not everyone agrees with the president, and president does his things. He goes everywhere in this country, he holds his rallies. Even if not everyone agrees with him, the same way the opposition side must be given that place. If the government will hit the opposition on that, it will be a testament that they're not ready to be challenged. Thank you.